hello and happy Monday. Welcome to today's video. We're going to kickstart the week with another installment of Smash or Pass, a series where I talk about the newest fragrances that have been announced over this past week and we evaluate whether or not we want to purchase them and why. This is a series that reoccurs every single Monday here on this channel. It's a fantastic way for us to catch up over the weekend and also just talk about what's new in fragrance. If this is your first time on this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love fragrances. I talk about them here every weekday, Monday through Friday. I also publish an additional set of content on TikTok and Instagram under the username ANECHKAFRAGRANCES. And if you're interested in fragrance history, I have a podcast called The Fragrance Report. The Fragrance Report is mostly focused on fragrance history, but I also use it as a weekly opportunity to tell you guys what I've been wearing over this past week in terms of fragrance. And I also publish it on Spotify and here on YouTube every Wednesday as well. Additionally, if you have been bombarded with samples, if you have a large decant collection, if you have a large fragrance collection, or if you simply want an efficient way to track your spending and track what you have, I have a spreadsheet for that very purpose. It's a fragrance collection log and expense tracker. It is a very effective way for you to simply put in your purchases or what's already in your collection line by line, and it will not only help you track how much you're spending, stay on budget, but it will also help you track what's in your collection, and it's searchable as well. If you're interested in downloading that spreadsheet, it's available down below in my Stan store. So with that being said, we have a lot to cover, from like designer, niche, a little bit of like kind of bordering on the edge of indie and luxury brands. So let's get into it. The first release I'm actually really excited about. This is a new launch from Snif and their second collaboration with Alex L, and this is a perfume called Gentle Reminder. This will be a fragrance with top notes of black tea, sugar, milk, and dates, a mid of purple yam and lavender, and then a base of Palo Santo. I have never seen purple yam in a fragrance. This is definitely one that I would be very keen on trying out. I will likely be receiving this in PR within like the next, I would say, week or so. So I will keep you guys updated regarding like my thoughts on it, my first impressions, my review. I am a Snif affiliate, so I am really excited about this release. I remember when Alex L came out with her first collaboration with Snif, she came out with a pistachio fragrance, and you guys know how picky I am about pistachio. Like 9 times out of 10, I will steer away from a fragrance with pistachio because I find that a lot of brands really will make the pistachio center stage, and after a certain point, I don't really need more pistachio fragrances. So for me, I don't really find them applicable. But then I tried, what was it called? I know the name is like on the tip of my tongue. That fragrance was called Heal the Way, and like I said, I wasn't expecting to like it very much. I tried it, I was very, very impressed. So that's why I'm also looking forward to this release. I think it'll be very interesting and sounds like the perfect fragrance or the perfect scent profile to wear during the spring-summer transition. So this is something I find very interesting, and I'm excited to try it out. The second fragrance is from the brand Sense of Wood. If you're unaware, Sense of Wood create fragrances inspired by different types of wood, and in this particular case they are coming out with a fragrance called Burnt Hinoki. Burnt Hinoki is going to be a woody aromatic fragrance with notes of hinoki wood, cedar, and juniper berry. As someone who loves the scent of juniper berry, I love seeing juniper in fragrances. This is something I'm also really excited about and looking forward to sampling. I feel like this will be a really interesting release as well. I also saw this brand release a fragrance, and I haven't heard of them before, so I figured we would discover this brand together. This is from the brand Folk Winds. They're coming out with Jasper No Kodo 2. Folk Winds appears to be a brand that was founded in 2022 by Jono Bornstein, and it aims to highlight North American-made aromatic materials, designs, and artwork using primarily natural American-sourced materials. So this looks really interesting. So these are fragrances made with perfumers Jono Bornstein and Rajesh Balkishran. So yeah, essentially their Instagram says they're Americana-inspired fragrances. I will definitely be giving them a follow. It's nice when you discover, new fragrance brands that seem like they're pushing the envelope a bit and providing some like diversity. So this looks really interesting. Let me look at the notes. So Jasper No Kodo 2 will have notes of juniper berries, Canadian fir, Palo Santo, and Baronia, as well as hemlock, copal, and blackberry at the top, amid of water lily, gardenia, agarwood, jonquil, and then a base of ambergris, agarwood, moss pine, and woodsy notes. So this looks interesting as well. I feel like there are a few scents in this video already. This video is coming off or kicking off with a really positive start with all these fragrances, because these are all genuinely fragrances that I would be really happy to test out, sample, discover, and this is no exception. As I said before, I love juniper berries. Another note that I really enjoy is blackberry. Baronia, I don't think I've ever smelled. It looks like a type of white flower. Apparently it's an airy, fresh, and fruity, sweet floral fragrance. And I haven't seen it before, but it looks like it's in a few fragrances. Yeah, this seems really interesting. I think that this brand is definitely going to make its way to my to try list for sure, because this is the kind of brand that I would like to get a discovery set from, just to discover what they have, smell through the collection, and I like the premise of this brand. It seems really interesting. So anyway, Folk Winds, a new release from them. Let me know, have you tried this brand out? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this as well. Okay, so another fragrance from Akro. They are launching this perfume called Crush, and this is a fragrance that will have notes of almonds and lychee at the top, followed by mid notes of Bulgarian rose and a base of vanilla and praline. The marketing imagery of this has a lot of macaron, which I love. I love fragrances with this kind of note, so this is definitely something that I would also like to sample as well. So far, there hasn't been a fragrance in this video that I don't like, but we're right at the beginning of this video, so we'll get to there. We'll get to that point. And for the record, if you're someone who's like new to this series, or if you're questioning why I'm talking about fragrances I have never smelled before, this is a series that's meant to aggregate all these new fragrance releases to inform you about what's new on the market. A lot of times, these new fragrances get announced, and then a lot of people will only talk about the fragrances once they've already received them, which is like a few weeks after the fragrance has been announced or is made available. I like to kind of go about it a different way. I like to do my own research and find out the fragrances that are being released soon and talk about them ahead of time, so we can look at what's common, like look at the trends, kind of compare, contrast, kind of do like a little bit of like a window shopping together. Basically, that's what the series is meant to be. It's not meant to replace any reviews or first impressions. So me saying I like this or I dislike this is not me reviewing a fragrance. It's just me sharing my personal opinion, because at the very forefront of my fragrance hobby, I am a consumer. I'm a consumer. I choose what I like and what I don't like, and what I like I add into my collection. What I'd rather pass on, I just don't buy. So this is something that I would be interested in trying out, pretty much. It looks really, really cool. So anyway, moving on. We have a new fragrance by Granado. This is a Brazilian brand. They have a lot of history in Brazil. They've been around for a really long time, and they've recently started their expansion in the United States. I've met with the brand. Yeah, I met with them at Scent Explorer. They had they had a pretty big booth there, and their fragrances seem to be very interesting. They seem to really be focused on fragrances that would be appropriate for the hot weather, which is in keeping with the Brazilian roots of the brand. They are creating fragrances that would be more suitable for hot weather. So I think refreshing, aromatics, citruses, that's the ethos of the brand. So this fragrance their new fragrance called Apotecario will have top notes of black pepper, bergamot, and cardamom, mid of black tea, leather, and cypriol, and then a base of tonka bean, patchouli, and myrrh. So like I said, even though some of these fragrance notes do appear to be like rather intense, like the leather, myrrh, the black pepper even, my theory is that they're probably not going to go like the super intense route on these notes. I would think that they would kind of like do a light touch of these notes and again kind of like make it more summer appropriate, which seems to be the theme of the brand. I might be wrong, but that's my hypothesis. Haven't tried this before, but I really want to get into the brand a little bit more since they do have some really interesting releases. We have a new release from a Middle Eastern brand. This is from the brand Ard Al Zafran, and they are launching Shams Al Emarat Pink Blush. This fragrance will have notes of raspberry, nectarine, and apple at the top, a mid of orange blossom, marshmallow, strawberry, and coconut, and then a base of vanilla, sugar, and whipped cream. This sounds absolutely fantastic if you are in the market for a new marshmallow gourmand fragrance. If these notes appeal to you, I will definitely be trying to get a decant or sample of this, and I'll let you know my thoughts once I have them, but this looks like a beautiful gourmand release as well. So the pricing on this seems to be around $30 to $35 depending on where you're getting it. So I feel like this could theoretically be a pretty safe blind buy option. And here's kind of like my update or like my updated theory on blind buying, because I do think that it has changed and evolved quite a bit. For me, I think that if it's like an inexpensive fragrance, obviously it might be better to just blind buy it. Because if you like the notes, if you think that it would work for you, if you're watching a lot of people that you trust, that you like, and they're giving certain reviews on this fragrance that make you think that you could potentially enjoy that fragrance, then go ahead and blind buy it. So the reason why I don't blind buy Middle Eastern fragrances specifically, even if they are really inexpensive, is because I have a lack of space. So I try to be very considerate of what I have in my collection, especially when it comes to Middle Eastern brands, because I've noticed my collection really increased in size rapidly when I was blind buying Middle Eastern fragrances, even just to review. And more often than not, I would kind of feel mediocre when it came to these fragrances. So I wasn't super invested in them, and they just ended up cluttering my collection and just making it a little bit unmanageable. So that's why I personally am pretty specific when it comes to buying Middle Eastern fragrances. I'd much rather get that decant. I get my decants mainly off of Etsy, but that's where I stand. However, I don't think that there is any harm in strategically choosing which fragrances to blind buy, because who knows, you might find a fragrance that you love, but I just like to be considerate when it comes to any of my fragrance purchases. Next up, we have a new launch by the brand Pepe Jeans. They're coming out with a set of 4 body sprays. So this is supposed to, this collection is called Portobello Road, and it captures the vibrant spirit of the young woman who lends the streets its irresistible charm. Sounds like a high-class prostitute, but okay. But anyway, I feel like I'm so unfiltered sometimes. But this, anyway, dial back. Okay, yeah, and the cops are coming. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, Celsius, if you're watching, you probably are not, but maybe at some point, if you are watching, I will gladly partner with you. This is my dream partnership right here with Celsius, because I buy a lot of your drinks, I buy a lot of your energy drinks, and I will happily promote them because I drink them all the time. Does anyone watch Mila LeBlanc? She was one of the first fragrance YouTubers I ever started watching, and her relationship with Red Bull is the same relationship that I have with Celsius. There you go. Anyway, and before anyone says anything, there's nothing wrong with having 1 energy drink a day. That is my limit. I just have 1 a day. There are far worse things you can do to your body than have 1 energy drink a day. Anyway, moving on. So, the 4 body mists in this collection are Boho Breeze, Colorful Chaos, Golden Hour, and Vintage Vibes. So, each one of these fragrances are created by a different perfumer. So, Boho Breeze has been crafted by perfumer Leonardo Lucchese, And the inspiration behind this is mornings are her favorite when the market is still waking up and the air fills with flowers. She moves through Portobello Road like a breeze, light and full of wonder, picking petals lost in dreamy thoughts. The air smells like jasmine and sun-worn citrus, soft, fresh, and light. With that in mind, this fragrance has top notes of mandarin oranges, cherry, and pistachio amid of sunny jasmine, lily of the valley, and rose, and then a base of vanilla, sandalwood, and caramel. Next, we have Colorful Chaos by Marine Impert, and this inspiration goes like this. Fruit stands overflow, bold fabrics sway in the breeze. Voices blend into a colorful buzz. She catches a cherry tossed her way and smiles, lost in the market's beautiful chaos. Bright scents dance around her. Lychee, blackcurrant, a flash of spice. Nothing matches and it is perfect. We have top notes of lychee, blackcurrant, pear, pink pepper oil, amid of lily of the valley, peony, and rose absolute, and then a base of moss, cedarwood, and musk. Golden Hour by Adriana Medina is inspired by Portobello at its brightest. The sun drops low and Portobello Road lights up. Shadows stretch, colors deepen, and everything turns to gold. She leans into the light, sunglasses on, confidence glowing as the street catches its breath. The air feels warm and magnetic, wrapped in creamy pear, toasted hazelnuts, and a soft trace of orange blossom, the best part of the day. We have top notes of mandarin oil, caramelized pear, and whipped cream, a mid of roasted hazelnuts, almond, and orange blossom, and then a base of ambroxan, sandalwood, musk, and vanilla absolute. Finally, Vintage Vibes by Gail Montero has Portobello on rewind. Among secondhand books and record stalls, she moves slowly, stopping to snap a photo with her Polaroid. The sound of Portobello Road plays softly in the background, the hum of stories, the warmth of vinyl sleeves, the scent of coffee, and something sweet in the air. We have top notes of coffee with milk and the candied fruits, a mid of caramel and cream, and then a base of vanilla and musk. So, I have thoughts. And okay, these sound really pretty. No judgment there. What I will say after reading all of this, it sounds like the muse or the inspiration behind this collection is the female version of Brooklyn Beckham. I said what I said. It sounds like it's a female version of Brooklyn Beckham. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, the Polaroid line, that's what took me out mentally, because you know how, okay, I'm not going to make fun of a Nepo baby just for being born. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But when you are growing up in a certain, in a place of privilege, you don't necessarily have to try as hard to be extraordinary. You just are afforded opportunities regardless. So when it comes to Brooklyn Beckham, what I find really interesting about him and other I guess Nepo babies like him is you can kind of be basic. You can be oh yeah, a farmer's market, a cherry, oh look, it's a Polaroid, let me take a picture of elephants in Africa and call myself a photographer because I happen to go on safari and I happen to have these opportunities, and people will be like, oh my gosh, this is a great photo because it's an elephant in Africa, and I am there because I'm a wealthy kid, Can you tell me I used to be a photographer. I mean, freelance a little bit, slightly, and I have a bone to pick about Brooklyn Beckham calling himself a photographer. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, this whole fragrance brand reminds me of, or this whole fragrance collection reminds me of the feminine version of Brooklyn Beckham. And I don't think Nicola Peltz is that. I don't think she's that at all. But, not that she's on a Nepo baby, but I don't think that she would match this collection. But this is specifically the feminine version of Brooklyn Beckham. Another thing that I do want to mention is I think that body mists are a recession indicator. I said what I said. This is not a perfume collection, even though I just called it a fragrance collection. This is a body mist collection. I do think that body mists in the fragrance world are a recession indicator. So that's what I said on that. So anyway, body mists, they're not bad. I think that they're really handy if you want to have like a fun way of like mixing, matching, layering with fragrances, kind of experimenting with different notes. But I said what I said. Body mists are a recession indicator, and we have a lot of body mists launching. So speaking of body mist, we have a new launch from Women's Secret called Flowerland. This is a collection of 4 body mists, and this will include a Full Bloom Body Mist by Jerome Di Marino, Moonlight Petals, also by Jerome Di Marino, Over Rose by Adriana Medina, and Sunflower Body Mist by Jerome Di Marino. So, full bloom body mist will have notes of orange oil, red apple, and black currant at the top, a mid of peony, strawberry flower, and jasmine, and then a base of praline, cedarwood, and oak moss. Moonlight Petals body mist will have notes of raspberry, lemon, and elemi, a mid of orange blossom, coffee, and jasmine, and then a base of vanilla, milk, and tonka bean. Over Rose Body Mist will have notes of tangerine and ginger, a mid of magnolia and jasmine, and then a base of musk and amber. And then Sunflower Body Mist will have notes of blueberry, petitgrain, and blackcurrant, a mid of orange blossom, freesia, and orchid, and then a base of cashmere wood, vanilla, patchouli, and anise. In terms of like this entire collection, I feel like the last body mist is the one that I'm most interested in, just because lately I feel like anything with blueberry in it is something that I get really excited about. So this is the collection. Yeah, in my opinion, body mists are definitely a recession indicator. Not saying that we are or aren't headed for a recession, but I think that we all know that it's becoming a little bit difficult to buy things. And I do think that brands launching body mists is nothing new, okay? But these new body mists that are kind of being treated as fragrance launches in and of themselves are something to note. And I don't think the body mists are bad or anything. I actually don't really buy body mists that much myself anymore, simply because I don't prefer them. I like fragrances. I like to have like that higher level of perfume oil concentration. I want something that will last. But I would say, especially if you're someone new to fragrance and you're looking to experiment with various notes, body mist can be really helpful because you're able to kind of mix and match fragrances in that way and play around a little bit more with layering without working with perfumes necessarily. Because let's just say you have like a main fragrance that you already really like, you can get some body mists that will accent that fragrance, and they won't necessarily be competing with that perfume because the body mists are going to be less potent than the fragrance. I mean, obviously there are exceptions to this, but that's kind of where I stand on body mists. I don't think they're inherently negative. I think they actually can be quite helpful. We have a new launch from Latafa. This is Kayed Alfarsan Untamed, and this will be a launch marketed towards men with top notes of cardamom, with top notes of nutmeg, cardamom, mandarin, and cinnamon, a mid of lavender, geranium, cypress, clary sage, and caramel, and then a base of cedarwood, olibanum, vetiver, labdanum, and amber. This looks intriguing. I will try and sample this and I'll tell you what I think. This might be a hot take, but for me, I find when it comes to the affordable Middle Eastern fragrances in general, the fragrances that are marketed towards men often are really, really intriguing, and they're often the fragrances that I wear the most. Kismet by Maisona Hambre for men, that is a fragrance I absolutely love. Liam Gray is, I think, also kind of marketed a little bit towards men. I don't know if it's just my personal preferences or what, but I find that the fragrances that are marketed towards a masculine consumer are typically the ones that I find really interesting. So yeah, I will try and get a sample of this, but I can't say that the notes are speaking my name or anything, but they do seem relatively intriguing. I really want to show you this new collection that I really want to feature specifically because the bottle design is so incredibly beautiful. So this is a collection called Giardino Benessere Guardino del Eden by Serreria Tenzi. Okay, so it's part of the Tenzi group. Okay, so there are 2 fragrances in this collection. Hortus, and Sublime. Hortus will have notes of Sorrento lemon, Sicilian orange, cardamom, lavender, freesia, osmanthus, and fern and violet. The mid will have notes of Tuscan apricot blossom, jasmine, cherry blossom, ylang ylang, lotus, and plum, as well as peach blossom. And then the base will have notes of birchwood, red elm, oak, ebony, sandalwood, musk, and oak moss. Sublime, on the other hand, will have notes of rose, apricot blossom, blackcurrant, neroli, peach blossom, and black pepper, amid of lily of the valley, magnolia, peach blossom, saffron, violet, Tuscan orris, teak, and cedarwood, and then a base of birchwood, frankincense, sandalwood, oak, mahogany, patchouli, ambergris, musk, and ebony. Wow. Okay, so these are available for 200 euros from the Tisiana Tenzi website. That's actually pretty good for 100 milliliters. Okay, but okay, I don't really care about the fragrances themselves, to be honest. I love the bottle design. That's it. Like, I love the bottle design. It popped out at me. Like, this is something that I would gladly just have because it looks pretty. It looks pretty. That's it. Like, that's what I think is appealing about this. The fact that this looks like really, really pretty. So that's my opinion on that. Okay, so we have a new fragrance release by Jean-Paul Gaultier. This is called Divine Elixir. So Divine Elixir will have notes of tuberose at the top, a mid of a salty accord, and then a base of tonka beans. When it comes to Jean-Paul Gaultier in general, I accept them as an iconic fragrance brand, but I haven't tried too much from them. But regardless, this does seem like an interesting release. So yeah, I've said this last week as well, that salt can also be a really refreshing fragrance note to have, and oftentimes for like summery fragrances, salt can be a really, effective additive that's not going to be just a typical citrus, because sometimes like when fragrances are refreshing, or when people think of a refreshing fragrance, I feel like oftentimes they just think of citrus, when really there are a few other nuances that you can add to a fragrance to make them suitable for the summertime. Am I going to get this? Probably not. I'm not like a huge super fan of Jean-Paul Gaultier. In fact, I'm really particular about fragrance designer brands in general, but I just wanted to put this out there in case you're interested in trying this out. Something else that I want to mention is a new launch by Simone Andreoli. They are launching their 5th anniversary Leisure in Paradise fragrance. This fragrance will have notes of papaya at the top, a mid of coconut, and then a base of vanilla and Caribbean woods. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm not loving the bottle design on this. I feel like it looks a little bit garish, especially for a niche brand, but that is just my personal opinion. Feel free to disagree. In general, Simone Andreoli as a brand, they're a fragrance house that I really want to own some fragrances from, because for the summertime, like one of the first niche brands I think of is Simone Andreoli, because they have really cornered part of the market when it comes to tropical fragrances specifically. I feel like summer is their season when it comes to fragrances, and they have some really beautiful fragrances as well. I also want to tell you about this effing fabulous perfume by Tom Ford. This is a fragrance that is a flanker, and it will have top notes of bergamot, sage, and lavender, a mid of almond accord, orris accord, lavender absolute, angelica root, and carrot seed, and then a base of leather, cashmere, and tonka absolute. I will smell this. I'll smell this definitely if I see it in store. Probably not going to buy it. Tom Ford is probably on my not buying list because they're just not a fragrance house that I'm like super excited about whenever I see them. And I'm gonna probably do a video talking about fragrance brands that I'm not gonna buy. I think I might film this after this video because I might have like a few unpopular opinions that might be fun to talk about. But Tom Ford is one of the fragrance brands that I see them launch new stuff and I'm like, it's not my type of thing. So this will be a pass for me. I have this new launch that I found really intriguing, and then I saw who was launching it and I was like, come on. This is from Drake. This is from Better World Fragrance House, and this fragrance is called Summer Mink. So apparently this is Drake's fragrance brand, and it debuted in 2021, and it's previously been known for their candles, but now they're launching a first fragrance, and this is the fragrance. I think the bottle design looks super cool. I saw this and I was like, yes, it looks unique, it looks interesting. It's like Sora Dora, but a different version of that. I really like this. Like, this is the kind of thing that I would be like, yes, like just the vibe of it, love it. Haven't looked at the fragrance notes, so let's take a look at those. We have top notes of Italian citrus, clary, sage, and petitgrain, amid of jasmine, sambac, rose oil, and spices, and then a base of vetiver, amberfix, and musk. This is like, okay, I have a question for the girlies out there and even the men. Okay, well, you know how we all sometimes sort of kind of maybe usually like to hate on Dior Sauvage and Bleu de Chanel just for existing because they're known as like F-boy fragrances. At least that's what I do. And I feel like a lot of the kind of demographic that really enjoys Sauvage and Bleu de Chanel also enjoys Drake music. So I feel like it would align. My personal beef on Drake is, okay, first of all, I don't have beef like Kendrick Lamar does because that's on another level. But my personal dislike of Drake is just because I don't like him. I thought it was weird when he collaborated with Chris Brown and then called himself Rihanna's friend or whatever, like aligned himself with Rihanna but then collaborated with Chris Brown. There was like this rumor that apparently he really liked Rihanna, she turned him down, so then he collaborates with Chris Brown. Don't like that, hate that. So ever since then I've been like, no. But I also don't necessarily love his music, so that's my thing. So yeah, I've never really liked him after that at all. So that's my verdict on Drake. But his fragrances, or this fragrance, actually looks really interesting. So I'm conflicted, but objectively the fragrance looks really interesting. I've never seen a fragrance bottle like this. This looks custom. Beyonce should probably take notes with her fragrance line. This looks custom, it looks high-end, it photographs beautifully, so this is something that I think is cool looking. Alright, that's it for this video. Let me know, have you found yourself interested in any of these fragrances? Are you excited about these releases, or are there any fragrances in this video that you're kind of like, not too keen about? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye!